News Hour, I'm Rita Kabanyero. Now, the government has approved the East African crude oil pipeline. The cabinet has approved the East African oil pipeline special provision bill for the 2021 as the country moves for construction oil between the Uganda and Tanzania earlier deal. Now, the Minister for ICT, Honorable Chris Waliomosi, says that once the bill is passed into law, it will definitely end the legal regulatory framework from the East African crude oil pipeline project in Uganda.
East African crude oil pipeline, the EACOP, is a 1,443-kilometer crude oil export pipeline that will transport Uganda's crude oil from Hoima in Uganda to the Chongoliani Peninsula near Tanga Port in Tanzania. The construction of the pipeline is expected to cost at least $3.5 billion as Uganda has so far discovered over 6.5 billion barrels of oil. Cabinet has approved the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Special Provision Bill 2021 as the country moves into construction of the oil pipeline between Uganda and Tanzania. The Minister for ICT, Chris Waliomosi, says if this bill is passed into law, it will define the legal regulatory framework of the East African crude oil pipeline project in Uganda.
First of all, we had an extensive discussion on the East African crude oil pipeline Special Provisions Bill 2021. The Minister responsible for Energy and Mineral Development presented a bill entitled the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Special Provisions Bill 2021. In other words, a legislation that is going to govern the pipeline, the oil pipeline as we all know it. And basically, once this bill is passed into law, it will achieve the following. One, it will define the legal and regulatory framework for the East African crude oil pipeline project in Uganda. As you know, we are doing everything possible to get the oil out of the ground in the Albertine Graben area, Winyoro. And as you also know, we are going to use a dual approach of managing this oil, where we are constructing a refinery to refine and process part of the oil which is going to get out of the ground, and at the same time export part of the crude oil through the pipeline, which will run from Midwestern Uganda.
Earlier this year, President Yoweri Museveni and Samia Hassan Suluhu, the President of Tanzania, signed the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Pact to see the construction of the oil pipeline. The agreement was signed at State House, Entebbe, together with Total, ENP, and China National Offshore Oil Corporation, CNOOC.
It will ensure the effectiveness of the Uganda host government agreement for the pipeline. You recall there have been discussions between the government of Uganda and the government of Tanzania to agree on a framework on how this pipeline will be managed and how the different countries will share the proceeds and the benefits associated with this project. And therefore you need to read the Uganda host government agreement which was entered into. So this law is going to put into effect some of the agreements which are already captured in these frameworks that have been discussed between the two governments. Number three, the law will also provide a mechanism for lawful implementation of the East African crude oil pipeline project in Uganda, so that whatever is done in the implementation of this this pipeline is well grounded in the law, so it provides that legal framework. The law once passed, it will also give reassurance of confidence to investors of Uganda's commitment to fulfill its obligations under the host government agreements, and also give confidence to the government of the Republic of Tanzania to equally finalize the enabling legislation in a timely manner.
The 3.55 billion US dollars pipeline could be the longest electrically heated crude oil pipeline in the world, and once completed, more than 10,000 job opportunities will be created during the execution, according to Suluhu. Environmental activists say that the project poses risks to protected environments, water sources and wetlands in both the country due to carbon dioxide emissions from the burning of oil through the pipeline.
Very well, that is the 3.55 billion US dollar Uganda pipeline from Tanzania that is expected, to begin construction. And when the bill that has been approved by Parliament, when it becomes into law, over 10,000 people, over 10,000 jobs. Maybe this could be one of you, actually, one of your friends will be able to be employed around this pipeline. But what are the issues or concerns regarding what is happening now, or the concerns from the public? First of all, experts are warning about the environment concern, whereby we do not know yet whether the route is very smooth and perfect where it's going to be passing, or the pipeline. What if it hits maybe any of the wetlands? Because surely we know some people will have to be displaced, or even encroachment onto swamps or wetland areas are some of the things that definitely are not going to be avoided in regards to the construction of the crude oil pipeline from Tanzania to Uganda. But also, what you need to know is that this pipeline is going to also create very huge opportunities for the country in regards to trading of oil. But we still have concerns in our budgeting in the country, whereby over 200 billion is still looked out forward from coming from the oil activities in the country. So should we say that, or should we really clap hands and relax at this and say that the 200 billion will definitely come very smoothly from the oil operations in the country once they start operations? That one is still left to the government, surely, and implementers. But what we are advocating for, and what we look forward to for every Ugandan, and for an effective crude oil or any oil operations or activities, is that we say, at least let the locals get genuine jobs, or let the workers honestly get genuinely labor, human resource areas, or human resource, I can say, supplements, so that sustainable development can be achieved as for all. And we still have the SLO, that is the social licensing operation, that is still being bidded for, advocated for from different advocates in regards to what activities or how they're going to be implemented. Let the first inquiries be from the local communities around the Albertine region. Maybe everything will be smooth for now. And now SMB continues on the News Hour continues right here. We move to Uganda, where it has recorded again a 1.9% inflation rate in August 2021 compared to 2.1% that was recorded last year. Now, during the release of August 2021 Consumer Price Index, Aliziku Lubega, the head of macroeconomic statistics, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, says that This means the rate of the increase in prices has gone very down. Take a look at this. We do return, talk briefly about that.
While releasing a consumer price index, Alizeki Lubega, the head of macroeconomics at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, says that Uganda has recorded a decrease of annual inflation for August, saying that this implies that the rate of increase in prices has slightly gone down. Statistics show that the decrease in the inflation was attributed to the annual transport inflation that decreases to 7.3% for the 12 months to August 2021, down from 10.7% in July 2021.
As of August 2021, for the year that is ending this month, the inflation for Uganda is registered at 1.9%. Compared to the one we released last month, that was 2.1%, meaning the rate of increase in prices has slightly gone down from 2.1% as of last month. For the 12 months up to August, it is now registered at 1.9%. You realize that these decreases are due to a number of areas that have registered a number of decreases, and majorly on an annual basis there've been a decline in the transport inflation. It decreased at 7 to 7.3% for the last 12 months. I mean from August of last year to the August of this year 2021, the transport inflation. And this one, you note that we had a lockdown where we had increase in inflation. That is the last 2 weeks of June and the first 2 weeks of July. So there were increases in the prices of transport. However, now when you look at the inflation for this year ending August 2021, there have been a decrease in the transport as a service. And this, the previous month, we registered the transport inflation had gone up to 10.7% compared to this month for the year ending August, which is 7.3%. In addition, decreases in the inflation were registered in the recreation, sports, and culture, and this was a decrease of 0.3%. In August 2021 for the year ending.
Much as Uganda has recorded a decline in inflation for August, there are other increases that were registered, as Alizeki stresses.
However, much as we still have a decrease in the inflation figures for Uganda, there are also increases that were registered that actually made it to be a 1.9% compared to 2.1%. And when you look at the food and non-alcohol beverages inflation, it increased to 1.3% for the last 12 months to August 2021 from 0.7% registered in July. So here we are noting that the food items and the non-alcohol beverages, we had registered increases in the prices and translated into increase in the inflation for that division of our inflation figures. In addition, the annual inflation for furniture, household equipment, and routine household increased to 1.7% for the year ending August 2021, up from 1.2% recorded in July 2021. Restaurants, accommodation services inflation increased to 1.5% in August 2021, up from 1.3% recorded in the year that ended in July 2021.
Reports indicate that transport fares has drastically decreased in Kampala City from 12.2% to a minus 3.3% for this month of August. Transport fares across the country went up following the resumption of the public transport after a 42-day lockdown. For instance, tax fares from Wakiso town to the city center were increased to 5,000 up from 4,000 before the lockdown was imposed. This, according to the report, the prices has also declined to a fair means.
Transport fares went up for the long distances, and actually it was reflected in our CPI for the previous month. And even here, when they opened up, we've seen a decrease in the transport fares, majorly for the bus fares for the long distances, that is over 100 kilometers. The reduction in prices shows that it has gone down by 17.3%. Also tax fares, that is for the taxi, where we share transport as we are moving. For the medium and long distance has come down on average, that is by 11.4% on average. That is for tax fares.
Looking at monthly commodity price increases, statistics show that food items like matoke have recorded an increase in price up to 22.2%, sweet potatoes at 10.0%, yams at 18.6%, among others.
Inflation is inflation. Whether it is dropped when we say it has reduced, it doesn't mean that there is no inflation. It just implies that the rate at which prices are increasing has actually come down. That's what it implies. But whether you say it is a 1.9 or 2.2 as we registered previously, it is still inflation. Prices are going up. But it is at the rate at which they are increasing that has slowed down. So giving you the prices that actually have affected the inflation for this month. For example, on the higher side, the prices where we registered increases, the items. We have, the first one is matoke. We are seeing matoke, the clustered matoke. It is going up. Majorly it could be it is now moving off season. And also it is actually showing that the prices are increasing. And this matoke clustered, I can see also matoke, the cooking matoke, the bananas. So all matoke actually has increased. It increased by, the clustered one increased by 22.7%. The cooking matoke that we buy increased by 9.1%. Fish, Angara fish, we are seeing an increase of 21%. The yams have increased by 18.6%.
The core inflation for the 12 months to August 2021 declined to 2.2%, down from 2.5% in July 2021. This was attributed to the annual service inflation that declined to 2.5% in August 2021, down from 4.0% in July. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24.
Very well, we seem to be moving on very well. Inflation, when the inflation rates are low or definitely a bit low, it brings us hope that the value of money in the country, or the value of the shilling now, because the country, Uganda uses shillings, is going to be moderately moving on well. But let's now talk really about inflation. In case you do not know what inflation is, this is the change, moderate change of value, or the value of money, or money changes. And now we're talking about shillings, because that is the first one when it comes to Uganda. And like she was saying there about the inflation rates being affected by transportation and food markets and alcoholic drinks, because those are some of the commodities that actually impacted highly on the inflation in regards to July before this August report. But for now, they're mainly talking about transportation fares as well as commodity prices prices, those ones keep really there. Let's talk about transportation. Why transportation? We've been in COVID-19 times, and the taxis or public transport, borders, you know very well. I think you have experienced that too, that the transportation you are using or the transportation fee you are using from point A to point B has drastically changed. Where you could put on a 2,000, it's now maybe a 3,000, or even double at 4,000. And for the food prices, relatively during COVID-19, market prices were a bit moderately low, where you could even get a bunch of matoke at 2,000 in Kalere. But for now, because of the easing of the lockdown, prices have actually started increasing on. But I'm sure this report coming in from UBOS is still looking at that impact for going from July, because we are just from the lockdown, I think 3 weeks, or we're coming to a month when the president partially eased the lockdown in the country. But what does it also entail when there is inflation in the country? For example, in case you do not know how this can affect you, number one, it can actually affect your savings. If you are the person who saves, or you follow up your income or income statements, or even your cash flow in your businesses, you will realize that when there is moderate changes of prices in the country, that is also going to be impactful and change the way money is being transparent in the country. You will realize that even your saving culture surely changes, because where you put more, where you used to put more, now you're even putting much more. Or when there is a less circulation, you will also realize now you can very much save more than you were saving. But also what the country looks forward for in regards to the Bank of Uganda, the withdrawing rights, that is the printed money that the IMF actually gave the country on 23rd. We also anticipate that there could be a much even higher inflation, because if we're going to have much more in circulation, that means we expect an inflation rate maybe for the end of month of September, but we'll still be recording that from UBOS. Now we're still moving on with our news hour right here on SMB, and now let's head into what's happening in the foreign regions. And now we kick-started with where vehicles or driverless vehicles are going to be, I'm sorry, my network is failing me, but surely it is coming in a short while. I do return shortly with the full rain updates for you.